Hello everybody, Tyrone the Guy 3 here. Welcome to Pokemon XY&Z Anime Reviews. Today we'll be doing the review of episode 21. It's titled A Bride for Clement, Bonnie's Civil Play Panic. Now, in this episode, first of all, as you all notice, I'm showing my face, which is weird in itself, but I decided to go ahead and do this review this way because, I wanted to take a different route. I know I was supposed to. I already stated on Twitter that I was going to do a wrap review of this episode, but a couple of things came up and I started working on some other projects and I just didn't have the time, but I still wanted to go ahead and get the review out before it's too late because I don't want it to be a weekend and I need to catch up to 2 episodes of X, Y, and Z instead of just the one that I already saw. So I felt it was better to just go ahead and do the review now, and then instead of doing a fast filler or a rap version, I'll just go ahead and do like a webcam version so that I can give you all of my opinions. So as far as the episode goes though, I'm mixed on this one. This episode was very mixed for me. I went into this episode thinking it'd be more about Clement than anything else, but it wound up being a lot more about Bonnie. And I guess I can go ahead and do the plot summary for the episode, even though, this episode's almost a week old now, so there's no real point in doing it. But the episode basically, I'll just give you the gist in the Clip Notes version. The episode basically begins with Bonnie, and she wakes up and sees that Clement is about to actually go get married. And when the ceremony is about to start, Bonnie comes in and she stops it, and it looks like it's over at this point. Then Bonnie actually wakes up and it's a dream. So that all happens. And then when Bonnie wakes up, she's like in that fear that Clement will get married, even though her entire running joke has been aiming on Clement getting married. So they actually just wind up chilling in a field. And when they chill in the field, they're playing ball. All of the Pokemon are playing catch, and the ball rolls off into the woods. And then Bunnelby ends up meeting a Baneri because he was trying to get the ball, and the Baneri catches a crush on Bunnelby. So we can see that Bunnelby is a very smooth player. I know his relationship with Eevee/Sylveon is more of a brother-sister deal, where Eevee was most comfortable with Baneri. But it seems to me like a lot of the female Pokemon really come to Baneri. And I don't know what that running joke is happening. And it's a gradual running joke. It's not something that's jammed down your throat. So that's really cool. But anyway, it's clear that Baneri has a big crush on Bunnelby. And because of that, they wind up meeting Baneri's trainer, which is the scientist. Her name is Melalia, or whatever her name is. Or Lilia, or whatever her name. But she's a scientist. And Bonnie wastes no time doing the exact same running gag she always does. She's like, hey, will you take care of my brother? And she actually is a little interested. And that's where things backfire a little bit for Bonnie. Because she's like, oh crap, I didn't think I'd make it this far. Now I'm in trouble because she might actually do it. So during all of that, the Clement and the scientist girl, Lilia, or Melia, or whatever her name is, they end up showing off their experiments towards each other. They show off all their inventions, which is cool because we get to see a lot of old inventions that Clement worked on throughout his adventures with our heroes. And then she gets really impressed by all of them. She shows off that she's got a fleshling gun, and it's kind of cool. Then Bonnie starts getting paranoid, oh crap, my brother might actually get married. So we get a common case of my big brother is found a girlfriend, now he's going to stop paying attention to me syndrome, which happens in a lot of sitcoms. This is a very sitcom-y episode, if you want to look at it that way. This is a very sitcom, because when you have Clement and Bonnie, you're going to have Clement and Bonnie episodes. And this was one of those Clement and Bonnie episodes, like the episode dealing with the Meowstic, where Clement and Bonnie had that big fight. It was expected they were going to have this episode because they're siblings. Now, the reason that an episode like this never happened in the Advanced series with Max and May, I want to theorize is mostly because little brothers aren't really concerned who is dating their older sisters. So that episode would have never happened. However, for some reason, little sisters are always I want my big brother to myself type deal. It's happened a lot, not just in anime, but it's happened in various sitcoms. I know, I think, uh, I can't think of any off the top of my head at this point. I think Drake and Josh did it. That's So Raven. You know, just various teenager Disney slash Nickelodeon sitcoms have done it before. So it was no surprise that we were going to run into this scenario at some point. Um, so at this point, Bonnie tries to do everything to sabotage their obviously growing relationship. And I love the hallucinations that Bonnie gets on what is going to happen with Clement and this scientist. She thinks that they're going to have matching aprons that turn into a heart when they hug each other. She thinks they're both going to be like president of Apple, or at least a company that looks like Apple. She also thinks that they're going to just wind up. The marriage dream comes up again, only this time it's revealed that it's the scientist girl. So yeah, her hallucinations get a little crazy, and I don't know exactly why this happened. I mean, Bonnie's been setting this up for the longest, so you would think that she'd actually be for this. I guess she was just doing it to tease Clement or spite him, or to the very least try to get like a beautiful woman into Clement, but she didn't realize that the consequences of her actions at that point. The problem with this though is that towards the episode, the entire episode is her trying to make sure this doesn't work out. And Team Rocket wants the Baneri for reasons. Like, even the reason they explained wasn't really clear cut to me. They want the Baneri because it makes Jesse look good. I don't know. But regardless, they wind up doing a hole trap twice in this episode, which is weird because they haven't used hole traps in a while. And I'm talking first season while. So they wind up reverting to the hole traps again. And this one was funny. They did the hole trap the first time, and only Baneri and the scientist girl get caught in it. Then they end up putting bandages on them. Then I like there was this one where she made Daydene. Daydene ends up using Nuzzle on the girl, and while it didn't really solve anything, it did, like, Bonnie got her little laughing moment, like, ha, take that, that'll teach you to try to, you know, take my brother or whatever. And then later on during the episode, we see the situation happen again after Bonnie and the scientist girl actually have a talk about Clement. Bonnie makes up some weird lie that Clement's into this weird, it's like this Arbok wrapping around his body and he's all into it type deal, and it's weird. But oddly enough, she thinks positively of the situation, so everything is basically backfiring on Bonnie at this point. And then when our heroes go to the Pokemon Center, or at least they're headed to the Pokemon Center, they fall into another hole again. And this was funny. Clement saves the girl first and doesn't even save Bonnie. That was kind of messed up and out of place for Clement as a character, but it still was funny because I like how Bonnie gets so mad she just climbs up there herself. And then they kidnap Baneri and Bunnelby, and they need to track them down. So they use the trackers that were apparently on the bandages. I don't know why Clement put those there. So that they can track where Bunnelby is. And when they track Bunnelby, they end up trying to get them free. Pokemon battle ensues. And meanwhile, while that's happening, Bonnie ends up falling off a cliff. Clement uses the Apom arm in order to save her. And then Luxray actually uses another move other than Swift. It uses Thunderfang. And they actually save Bonnie, and Bonnie saved, and the Apom arm breaks at that point, and Ash and Serena work together and defeat Team Rocket, and basically at that point, they're at the sunset, we're going to hit the road, the episode's about to end scene, if that makes any sense. So, when they're about to head out and leave for that, what happens confuses me a little. Long story short, the scientist girl sees how much Bonnie loves Clement as a sibling and doesn't want to stand in between that. So she just sort of goes, all right, guys, bye. And the reason I'm disturbed by that is because the problem with that is basically, like, there was no real need for it. Like, it felt like I felt like Clement and her could have been a relationship. It feels like Pokemon, for some reason, took a step backwards. And now, I know Pokemon's not really good with relationships, but this was the one time I think they could have got away with it. Clement could have been in a relationship with the scientist girl. They could have kept her in the traveling group for at least one more episode. That way the episode doesn't seem like filler. Because this episode at this point basically is filler. Especially when I tell you what happens at the very end of this episode. But Clement could have been in a relationship with this girl and been like, hey, when this journey's over, I'll come back to Lumios. We'll meet and we can start something there. Like, this could have had potential to be something. And X and Y and Z has proven that they have no problem stepping forward and stepping out of line of the regular Pokemon routine. So I see no reason why this actually couldn't have been a relationship. Because it's definitely going to get shipped. Like, no problems there. It's just, I feel like they're not going to bring this lady back, unfortunately. And second, I feel like they've taken a big step backwards. Well, not a big step backwards. I feel like they strayed away from stepping forward, I think is the better use of that phrase. They didn't want to, it felt like they were afraid. Like, I could feel that they were afraid to actually make a canon relationship. Because they've got Ash and Serena to deal with anyway. So I see, and Clement isn't going to stick around forever, at least I hope not. So I see no reason why they couldn't have actually just expanded upon this and made it a canon relationship. Bonnie could have learned something from this and been like, okay, I need to stop being so stubborn. My brother's going to grow up and he's going to be in relationships. So why not be it with someone that is relatively cool that I've gotten used to, who actually helped save my life? Like, I think that would have worked. But I feel like the series still went it became afraid and realized that it was a kid's show, which I'm not even going to use that as an excuse, because even if the main demographic is for children, you can still take adult steps forward. I can name countless amounts of anime and cartoons that are targeted for kids that have taken steps forward in terms of a series. So I'm not even going to use that as a viable excuse. I just felt like they pushed the coward's way out and just said, hey, it's not happening. Because it's easy to make a relationship not happen. It's hard to make it actually happen and make it canon to the series. But regardless, at the very end, Bonnie does the exact same damn running gag again. You would think that this would be the end of the running gag. One of two things could have happened. One, a relationship could have come out of this episode. Or two, Bonnie would learn from her mistakes and not do the running gag. I'm a little disappointed too, because this is a Bonnie episode and Bonnie is used to learning from her mistakes. Not so much in this episode. It didn't feel like she really learned anything. It felt like she took a step backwards, if anything else, because nothing was gained. Bonnie's character didn't grow any in this episode, unfortunately, because she's still doing the running gag, knowing that she doesn't like it. All this did was basically tell us a scenario in which what would happen if, you know, Clement actually did have a potential girlfriend. And for her to do this running gag for so long and then for it to backfire and then for her to do it again even though it's already backfired feels out of place. Because now every other time she does the running gag, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Because she's already done it before and it's already come to success only for her to make it fail. So I don't know. It felt like they sort of shot themselves in the foot on this one. But other than that, the hilarity of Bonnie's antics in this episode is what saved it from it being completely boring. Like, it saved it from being the Meowstick episode with her and Clement. Because if it were the Meowstick episode, I would have told you all flat out, this is the most boring episode I've ever seen in my life. But it's not. Like, the running gag, well, not the running gag, the jokes and the use of character within the jokes is what makes this episode pretty funny. I like the facial features. The art style in this episode was very wacky with Team Rocket, Bonnie, and Daytona. So it's not complete garbage. It's just, it's out of place in terms of character. And nothing was really salvaged from it. And I think that's what the biggest part of the problem was nothing was salvaged. This episode was unsalvageable. So, yeah, that is a thing. But anyway, the next episode is an episode a lot of more shippers are very hyped about. And that episode is Serena Becomes Ash, the Ultimate Pikachu Showdown. So, with that said, I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3, out. Also, I'll have no ending animation and opening animation for this video because webcam videos, which I rarely do, are weirder to edit. Like I said, I need to find a new video editing software. That way I won't be using just Movie Maker, because, yeah. But that's technical babble. So I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone Godfrey out.